when I'm done playing the game, that time will be priority number
Yeah.
one will be my
Yep.
wife.
Did LeBron, King James, just say his wife gets time after he's done with basketball? Y'all, that's not a game winner. That's a turnover if you've ever seen one or heard one on marriage. I mean, I'm scratching my head. Is this why everyone's calling him the ultimate family man? Or are we falling for a highlight reel that's hiding a foul? Well, stick around because this mindset could sink your marriage faster than a buzzer beater miss. And I'm using those terms if you're into basketball, you know what I'm talking about, right? So I guess these are some terms that basketball players. Hey, by the way, I'm not a basketball player per se. I don't have the height, and but I do understand a little bit about basketball. But what I do understand more about is what I'm gonna get into in this video as you're watching. Now, the comment sections that this video that I watch is going wild. LeBron's the king of the court and the king of family, they say. And look, I give props where they're due. No major scandals, a family that looks solid from the outside. But hold up, everyone's hyping his marriage advice like it's a championship ring. But I'm calling a timeout. Why? Because putting yourself first and your wife on the back burner isn't God's playbook. I mean, not for marriage. Not for marriage. Ephesians 5, verse 25 says, husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. Not love her when you hang up your sneakers. Once LeBron really preaching here, I want us to go deeper on this because I know I'm gonna get some haters. I'm gonna get some of you who might think that Kingsley, you're just hating on LeBron. And no, I want you to follow and track with me here because I want you to hear my heart. I'm not going to take away from LeBron what I believe he deserves, and you've heard me kind of hinted at that already. So I don't get so hung up yet, and so uptight in your panties. I don't want you to get there. I'm sorry for even using that kind of crude remark, but hopefully you understand where I'm going from. And by the way, I'm Kingsley Grant. If this is your first time here, a licensed marriage and family therapist and a certified relationship coach and host of the Build Your Happier Marriage podcast. I've been married for, as of this recording, almost 40 years, since 1985, 40 years. And I've spent over 20 years helping Christian wives and couples like you reconnect with your dream. But not only that, but also reconnect with your dream entrepreneurial husband, your busy professional husband, so you can feel loved, not left behind. And if you're giving everything to your marriage, but feel like you're stuck on the sidelines while he chases his goals, this channels your home court. LeBron's words sound like a crowd pleaser, right? But they're a red flag, a whistle for any wife craving a God centered marriage. So let's kind of break it open here in this video. Now, here's what I believe, and I want you to put this up front because I think it's so important. And by the way, while you're watching this, if you've not yet subscribed to this channel, this is the place to hang out. So you want to subscribe to this channel and hit that like button. And if you want to comment on anything, as long as you're being civil and let's have a conversation, please go ahead and comment in the section, in the comment section below. I would love to hear your thoughts on what it is you're hearing today. But I do believe with all my heart and every fiber of my being that if we're going to do marriage in a successful manner, it has to be follow a certain game plan, right? Not basketball, not football, any of those things, God's plan. And here's what I believe, that embracing the mind of Christ is the fastest and most impactful way to build a joyful, lasting marriage. Not chasing trophies or putting your career first, right? Not promising your wife later while you're the star today. God's design in Genesis 2, verse 24, one man, one woman, one flesh. He puts marriage above all else, and he should know why, right? LeBron's plan might shine with his millions, but for most couples, it's a one-way ticket to a losing streak. How many people I've worked with, how many couples who do not have the millions as LeBron does, and you're going to see why I mentioned that and highlight that in a few moments, who may have listened to society and culture on this topic of marriage and look at someone like LeBron and his wife and think like, man, this is a way to do it. I mean, he's holding it down. What you're going to see in a moment if he truly is holding it down. And I would love to hear your thoughts. Let's have a conversation about that. But when I say the one-way ticket, I've seen that. I've watched that so many times. I've heard the hearts of a wife like you who is sharing and pouring out to me in a coaching session or a therapy session, telling me about how she feel alone and feel so disconnected and feel like her husband is there, but he's not. She feels invisible, not seen, not heard, because of things like this, right? Because they listen to the wrong voices. Now, I want you to watch how this mindset of LeBron James, right, and about his wife. Let's watch how he describes why he sees marriage or the relationship the way he sees it. He's a word here, selfish. And here's why he says, it needs to be selfish. And I want you to see your take on this. Let's watch this together.
But you have to be selfish.
Yeah.
Right? So, and the family has to understand, like, selfish is the wrong word, committed.
Yeah.
Is the word. I'm committed to my craft, my career, but that family stability gives you a platform, right? Where you're not worried, like, we're good over here.
Right.
I can go to work.
You
and do
have
my
to
thing.
be selfish. Huh? Really? You have to be selfish. Well, I want to say I get where he's coming from in that regards about pursuing his career and his craft, and I admire. I want to say up front, I admire his devotion and commitment to his craft. He's as good as he is. By the way, not as great as Michael Jordan, in my opinion, but that's another conversation for another time, and maybe that even may make you even more a hater of what I'm saying here because you're thinking that the GOAT is LeBron James. No, I don't. I think the GOAT is MJ, number 23. Let's move on here. So you have to be selfish. Is that true? Committed to his craft. I get that and I respect that. But that's LeBron saying he's the MVP of his own life. And his wife's the one keeping the scoreboard. I mean, she's holding things down, kids, home, everything while he's out chasing his greatness, right? Or chasing greatness. Now, it may be an arrangement. And again, I don't know all the details. They may have agreed upon this because sometimes I see some wives, which I think is so admirable, who would say, will be the home keeper. She will take care of the kids, sometimes homeschooling. And that's fantastic. My wife did that for the first couple of years of our own marriage. And so while I went out and provide, but I wasn't chasing greatness. Most people are not chasing greatness. They're making some sacrifices, but they're going to be also equally committed and sharing what it is to parent those children and in the home front. So I do understand sometimes the arrangement, but not what I'm hearing. And maybe I am hearing it wrong and I'm willing to be stand corrected. So if you're hearing it some other way, please let me know. So I want to say a big shout out to her for that sacrifice. She's the real all-star here. But dear wife, this isn't the game plan for a thriving marriage, is it? Most husbands don't have LeBron's bank account to patch up the gaps and throw money at the deficits, right? Most people don't. When a man says, I'll show up after I'm the best, He's leaving his wife's heart on the bench. And that's why I share tools in The Joyful Wife to help you understand your husband's drive and pull him back to the heart of your marriage. Because again, I don't know all the details. I don't know what his wife has gone through. I don't know where her heart is. And maybe she's okay with that. I mean, I haven't seen anything to the contrary, right? When I was having in my work that I've done and been married for, like I said, almost 40 years, I've seen the video, the game. I've seen the movies played out so often, where the wife at home, she's dying. I mean, she's now forming an alliance, and her emotional connection is with her kids because the husband is not there. I know in my earlier stage of my own relationship, when I was working and really going after trying to make ends meet and making certain that I'm providing for my family, I missed a lot of times with my kids, and I felt, that I needed to be there. But looking back, if I had to do one thing over, that's one area I would correct. So when I wrote this book, The Joyful Wife, is for wives of entrepreneurial husbands and busy husbands and the LeBron's type of this world. 7 connection skills to better understand your husband, rekindle love, and deepen intimacy. I had some of these things in mind. How do you pull your husband back? How do you get him to connect at a level where you don't you're supportive of him. You're supportive of him and you want him to succeed. But I can tell you, I've worked with I would say A players, people who are really movers and shakers, both in the business world and the sport worlds. In my world, I've worked with them and I've seen all kinds, right? I've seen people who have, really, really doing well. And not so long after things subsided, like LeBron is waiting for, and the spotlights are turned off. And the relationship is now you have to face each other 24/7. I cannot tell you how many families I've seen that end up going their separate ways because they didn't have a relationship. They didn't even know each other. They just did their own thing all this time and enjoying the limelight and everything. And again, I'm not knocking that. But then I see the consequences of that, right? And that's why I wrote this book. Now, here's what in his mind, right? Here is what in his mind that I believe why this so LeBron's kind of advice, or as he's talking about his family, and I know he's speaking about his family, and but people who are looking at him, and like I read the comments in the video I've watched, I'm thinking that people are just like lauding it up and hoopla and kind of over LeBron, and I'm thinking like he's the goat of everything. I'm thinking these are the people who are going to be influenced and saying, he is a role model. He is the model for the marriage of the 21st century. No, 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 it's not. Because his advice is contrary. And I can tell you, it doesn't work. There are exceptions, maybe his, but majority of relationships will not work this way. I can tell you from firsthand, sitting across from families, couples, and wives, and hear their stories. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Here's what his plan is about how he approaches the situation. Here's how he planned to give back later. Let's watch this together.
The hours that I put into it in order to be the best I can be, and it's only right I give that back when I'm done.
But it doesn't work otherwise, right? Like
Right.
you have
Not if you want to be a mate, not if you want to be great,
if you want to be great, or you want to keep playing,
or you want to keep
like
playing.
right,
Yeah.
you want to extend your career beyond where
Right.
you're supposed to play. That balance, like how you handle the stability of home life.
He said, I have to give that back when I am done. When I hear so many times people, it's all about me and I, and I'm really thinking that what about us and we and where? So it's please understand, it's all about him. It's all about him. And people say, well, why do people hate LeBron? And I think hate is a strong word. I would say dislike him. So I think it's not so much because of things he may say or do. I think they see certain things that doesn't sit well. I'm gonna say that doesn't sit well because when I hear this I and I, And when I am done, when I have succeeded, when I have climbed the ladder, when I have done and accomplished all these things and become the greatest in my craft, when I am done with that, then I have time for the most important thing. Give back when he's done. That's like telling your wife, I love you after I've got my rings. Marriages don't run on deferred promises. Proverbs 3:27 warns, "Do not withhold good from those to whom it is due when it is in your power to do it." LeBron's wife is carrying the team. I mean, the kids are a bit older now, but she has been, right? The kids, the stability, the home, and kudos to her. Like I said, she is the MVP of that regard while he's out being great. That's not a partnership, is it? That's a solo act. For most couples without his millions, this mindset breeds resentment, disconnection, or worse. Don't, let me just put it that way, or worse, right? So don't let this MVP status trick you into thinking this is how to score in marriage. No, it's not. And I want to reiterate that, Now, I do want to say, though, that I applaud the fact that he did and does credit his wife for her support, which I think he's rightly he's doing the right thing. And I'm glad he's actually doing that. But I think the way he's going about it, though, is out of order. It's out of order based upon what I believe, for the most part, how successful longevity marriages can shine. So let's see how he credits his wife's support. Let's watch this.
I've picked the right woman, and that and I've the kids have come along, and they've accepted the fact of what I wanted to accomplish,
Yeah.
and I've tried to just pour into them when I have the ability and do the things that I can as a father.
He says, which I think is great, he said, "I've picked the right woman." What does it mean? What does it mean, the right woman? Now, for me, I'm so grateful that God gave me. God is the one who gave me the wife that I have. I couldn't have picked her in a million years because of the way that I am built. God knew that. He knew who I needed. So I give credit to God. He put us together, right? God did that in the very beginning when with Adam and Eve. God brought Eve to Adam. So he said, "I've picked the right woman," right? The kids have accepted the fact of what I wanted to accomplish, what I wanted to accomplish. Again, where's what we wanted accomplished? Is it something that they all agreed on, or they just had to accept it? They had to accept it because you know what? What do we have to say? Again, I understand the mindset. I understand how sometimes we make decisions as the leaders, as a man, we have to go out and do what we need to do. I get it. However, there's got to be some place where we are creating us and we and ours, right? LeBron's wife is a champion for keeping the home court steady. Mad respect for her. But this isn't God's formula for a joyful marriage. It's a house built on sand, leaning on her sacrifice and his success. Matthew 7:24 to 27 says to build on the rock, God's word. Jesus gave that whole story about the man who built his house. One built it on the sand and one built it on the rock. And the one on the sand, the house was wonderful. On the outside, everything seemed so wonderful and beautiful. The one on the rock also looked that way. But the one on the sand was the talk of the town until the winds began to blow and the rain came. And then Jesus said, the house fell because it was built on the sand. And I'm praying that LeBron is building his house on the rock because we can see all the flashy, wonderful things and say, yeah, great. And guess what? If it's built on sand and in the way he's approaching it, that's a sand-like mentality. That's a sand-like approach because the rock has to be God's plan, God's way, God's word, right? A husband's first call is to love his wife sacrificially, not to chase glory while she waits in the stands. That's where the joyful marriage quest comes in, right? Say, what's the joyful marriage quest? Well, I'm glad you're asking because I have recognized the need to address some of these things. And the way you're hearing me talking in this video is some of those things we work on with I help wives to navigate this kind of relationship that they're experiencing and help them to find their voice and to see how they can better understand their husband and pull him back in, rein him in a manner where he can hear her and not hear criticism and not hear disrespect and not hear not being supportive, all those things that I hear from husbands. But she has a way to do that, and that's why I created this this program, 6 weeks of evidence-based and biblical coaching journey called the Joyful Marriage Quest to help wives navigate this kind of thing. You say, well, wives, why wives? Well, according to statistics, my friend, I think 80+% or even 90% of divorce are initiated by who? The wife. Yes, you look it up. And guess what? I can say about 90% of every couple that I've worked with, marriage couple, the wife is the one who initiates it. And so I believe if I can help her to navigate and keep herself sane and keep her heart filled with peace and joy, then that would be a way to hold the marriage together, right? And so I share the 7 skills in that regards. So that's why I keep on mentioning that to you. And if you're interested in that and want to get on the wait list for when I open that again, you can go to buildyourhappiermarriage.com, buildyourhappiermarriage.com/waitlist and get on that list. Now, I want to say LeBron's a legend with the ball, but his marriage advice is a brick. It's a brick. I mean, it's don't buy culture's hype that says be selfish now, love later. God's design puts your marriage first, period. Period. Okay. If you're feeling like you're playing second to your husband's hustle, let's rewrite the playbook. We need to rewrite the playbook. And that's what I'm trying to do with this channel when I raise these topics and come at it this way. It's not that my marriage is perfect. No, far from it. We're still working things out 40 years later. I tell people many times when I think I do know my wife, I realize I don't know her as I need to and still learning. I'm the student of my wife, and hopefully she's a student of me, and we're figuring things out year by year because every stage of life brings different challenges and different things that we need to work on. So we're constantly on the move in that regards. So it's not perfect. I've had my shares, our shares, right, of in our relationship, but thank God, His grace and His mercy has brought us to where we are today. And so when I say rewrite the playbook, it's rewrite from culture and society and the LeBrons of this world. That is not what we want to hold up, right? So I want to encourage you to basically sign up at the wait list, and I'm having a webinar that I want to also invite you into. And you, at the wait list, you can also be able to get a free gift by signing up, and then I'll be able to inform you of the next webinar, how to reconnect with your husband when you feel like he's slipping away. So you can do that at buildyourhappiermarriage.com/waitlist. Let's throw rocks at selfish priorities and build a marriage that honors God. What do you say about that? Isn't that it's what it's all about? And so I'd love to have this conversation with you, and make sure you subscribe, hit that subscribe button and a comment. Let's have a conversation, but please keep it civil, and that's not going to attack. That doesn't get us in a conversation. So let's have what's your thoughts? What it is you've heard? Would you have seen or thought about it the way that I have presented it? I do hope to hear from you on that regards. And I want to again challenge you. If you want to DM me and have a conversation directly, you can just DM me at Kingsley Grant on Instagram or wherever other platform you choose. I'm Kingsley Grant on all platform, and we can have a conversation even here, right here on the channel, right? So I want to say thank you for taking the time to truly be here and listening, and just hopefully humoring me by following and subscribing and getting the conversation. Make sure you like, comment, and hit the bell that you'll be notified of every new videos that are dropped on this channel. So thank you for taking the time. All the links I mentioned, including this, where to find this full video interview and the credit given for this video clips, you'll find in the description below, right? So I look forward to you doing that, and make sure that you watch this other video right here, because we're talking about things that I believe are really, really helpful. So watch this other video right here, and may God bless you and keep you and make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. And may your marriage experience everything that God has for it, his blessings. But make sure embrace the mind of Christ, because it's the fastest and most impactful way to have a 180-degree turn in your marriage today. God bless you, and see you on the next video. God bless.